Since the recording of this story, there's been an update. Electric has confirmed that the Model S and X production lines have been halted. We hope that you still enjoy the episode.
The Model S. We've talked about it basically every day.
Yeah.
Because, why not? It's the Model S.
And you own one, so it's kind of impossible for you not to talk about it.
Tesla Model S. Greatest car in existence. That is definitely not a biased statement. Well, specifically, we've been mentioning it because recent actions from Tesla. We saw European Model S and X increase in price.
Mm-hmm.
We saw... Fill me in. What did we see?
We saw delivery dates seem to be
Delivery dates have been pushed back drastically.
But it seems to be for all of them, all the cars, but the S and X more so aggressively, because if you go on Tesla's configurator right now, the Model 3 and Y estimated delivery is 2 to 12 weeks. So it's a pretty big range. I mean, you can get in 2 weeks or in 3 months. But the S and X is a bit more aggressive because, according to the Tesla site, the earliest you can ever get it is 8 weeks to 12 weeks. So 2 to 3 months. So
we're nearing the end of the year. It kind of makes sense that Tesla's going to kind of mess around with their production line because they don't want to be stuck with a bunch of 2020 model years in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
What doesn't make much sense is the fact that the Model S and X don't fall in line at all this year. They basically are not building any more Model S and X this year, they're not delivering any new Model S and X this year, according to their configurators.
Almost for a full quarter, actually, because 3 months from now would be March. So,
and coincidentally, the Model S and X price increase in Europe, which is, by the way, in Germany specifically, which is, by the way, pretty drastic. It's increased 5,000 euros, which is about 6,000 US dollars.
That is
that's a pretty big jump.
I'm telling you, they sacrificed the Europeans just so we could have a 69 420 price.
Those cars also don't get delivered till March. So you see where I'm getting at here.
I'm
a lot of rumors that this pause is because of a upcoming Model S and X refresh. We've been waiting for years. We've been hoping for years. Is this it? Are we finally going to see the next version of the Model S?
Well, I think first of all we need to define what a refresh is, because in my book, I mean, yeah, adding a feature here and there is technically a refresh, but in my book, a refresh typically constitutes some sort of bodywork changes, design changes.
A design refresh.
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna see one of those, if there is.
So
even a
why
refresh.
do you think there's this huge pause?
I really don't know, because it's a huge pause for, I mean, like I said, it's possible that year 3 and Y will also take 3 months, which is crazy because they're making those cars in high volume. So I don't really know what is this model-wide delay. Obviously, like we said, the S and X are more affected by it because at the earliest, unless you get something from the inventory, you're going to wait 2 weeks. I mean, 2 months. And we did see in the previous software update that a button is being added to the charge port so that you can eject the plug, which obviously it adds fuel to the fire of the people who are saying that there's going to be a refresh.
Yeah, we have confirmed upcoming bodywork done. They're adding a button to the exterior of the car.
I guess. So design refresh.
It's confirmed.
I
think it's gonna. It's time. It's time. It can't go on for much longer. It's been the same Model S since 2016.
Yeah.
And even then, the only thing that was actually changed was the front.
Mm-hmm. I've been in that camp of it's time. I think every time we talk about the Model S, I say it's time.
But you don't think this is it?
I honestly am afraid there's never going to be a refresh because, we've been looking at production numbers for years now, and we clearly see that most of Tesla's margins and, production is going from the 3 and the Y, and the S and the X are kind of just there.
Yeah, but they haven't given up on the S and X because they still have the Plaid Model S coming.
True.
This is their flagship vehicles. This is the ones that they throw up on display.
But I'm worried that even the Plaid is going to be the S with maybe bigger fenders and a wing, just like bolt-ons.
Well, that would be something. That would be something.
Is that? Tesla does have this reputation, good or bad, depending on how you feel about them, of just doing stuff without announcing it. They'll just say, hey, everything in the past 2-3 weeks got this new thing, or the Raven powertrain.
Yeah, we need to stress, they've never announced anything. They've never announced a single change prior.
But,
it just happens.
It's within me that I keep hoping that if they're going to do something as drastic as redesign the car, or at least make it make enough of a difference in the design and it's easy to distinguish the two, that they'll say it. But I doubt it. I'm just, we saw the Model 3 quote-unquote refresh, and it was, more efficient battery and a center console. And the steering wheel refresh.
We've had rumors of an interior Model S refresh for over a year now. There were those leaked images that Electric obtained of a horizontal screen in a Model S.
That's the most I'll think that we'll see.
I mean, if it was something significant, if there was ever to be a big refresh, a body design, interior or exterior, if it was something big, they would need a decent gap like this, a 2-month or so gap of, getting it together, getting it right.
Well, knowing how, I don't think it's gonna be a design refresh anyway, because knowing how many eyes are on Tesla, I feel like some sort of prototype would have been leaked by now.
Well, we never saw a Cybertruck leak.
That was actually surprising.
I feel like Tesla's really good at hiding stuff.
That was actually pretty surprising.
And don't forget, the Plaid Model S that we saw run Nuremberg was slightly modified.
Yeah, but like I said, that was they just extended the fenders and put the body kit on it.
Well, let me ask you this then. Mm-hmm. In that teaser video of the Plaid Model S, we saw that the interior was gutted.
Of course, yeah.
And they very specifically didn't really show us the exterior.
Yeah.
You don't think they would have had some nice exterior shots of that car going big fast if they were expecting it to remain the same? I think they intentionally didn't show it to leave it up in the air, to leave it open for change.
I think it's going to look more or less like what we saw in the Nürburgring, but the parts they added on are going to look more, flush with the car. It doesn't look like they just added a bunch of stuff to it. It will look in line. And the current testing car doesn't have that excessive bodywork.
I think that was a little excessive. I think it'll be somewhere in the middle.
Well, the wing was definitely excessive. It's going to be a smaller wing, but the tires were. I mean, if they're claiming two less than 2 seconds 0 to 60, you're going to need some fat rubber. So those.
What else could this possibly be? We also have rumors of the Roadster coming soon. Could it be the Roadster entering production?
Well, how do you connect this with the Europeans getting a price increase?
The Europeans' next ship doesn't come until March.
Oh, so you're saying
that's how those dates line up. There is no. Well, if you order a car right now, you can't get it until March anyway. In Germany.
Then I definitely don't think it's going to be a monumental change, because I mean, we might see it as welcome, but I'm sure there's someone wanted this exact Model S, and they're going to get some other different Model S. That
again, Tesla always makes their changes last minute. For example, when I bought my car in my production period, the wheels were changed on the Model S, and I just got an email saying, "Hey, We've changed the wheels. Here's a picture of your new wheels. So it's not impossible.
Yeah, but you do understand that changing wheels is easier to deal with than if, I don't know, Tesla, for instance, changed the headlights and the taillights for the
Here's the
hypothetical refresh.
Here's the direct quote from. Let me make sure Fred wrote this article. Yes, Fred wrote this article. The increase in Europe is for the next batch of Model S and X vehicles that Tesla plans to produce, and they won't be delivered until March 2021. So that's the. You asked where my reference was there. It's their boyfriend.
So blame Fred.
I don't know. It seems like a lot. It seems like it's too coincidental. There's a lot that's up in the air currently, and this downtime. It's just something's got to happen. You can't really justify this downtime for.
Want something to happen.
Both. I want this to not be meaningless.
You don't want this random delay to be meaningless?
Yeah. I can't really find a justification for the random delay otherwise. It really doesn't make much sense. Or the price increase. The fact that they've increased the price in Europe.
I'm worried about Q1 next year.
No Model S.
Are they going to deliver like 1,000 Model S's, maybe? Model S and X?
Yeah, but if it is due to downtime, they'll state so.
Yeah.
But they'll have to give a reasoning, though. They can't just say, hey, we stopped. They gotta say we stopped because.
We stopped. We chilled.
So again, there has to be some justification here. They can't just stop production of this car unless maybe they didn't stop production. We're only assuming that production stopped because delivery times have been delayed. For all we know, they're still producing the same amount and they're just storing them. I don't know.
But then you have to ask yourself, why would they do that?
Why would they store that? A lot of questions here.
I don't know. You built my car a month ago and then didn't send it? Why?
What is your dream refresh for the Model S?
I think they got to change the screen.
Do you think so?
I think they got to go horizontal. Mainly
protruding?
From. It doesn't have to be protruding. I don't care how they get it done. I just think it needs to be horizontal because they're obviously pushing a lot of these multimedia features, watching videos, playing video games. All of that is in orders of magnitude better on a horizontal screen versus a vertical screen.
And I agree 100%, but I do not want it protruding.
I know you don't like it because you got that thing about it looking like it's sticking out of the dash.
I mean, it's 3 times the price of a Model 3. You can't just give me the same interior of a Model 3. It's got to look somewhat luxurious to be in the luxury class of vehicles.
I don't say it has to be the same exact interior of a Model 3. It just needs to have a vertical screen. I mean, a horizontal screen.
If it's protruding, it best rotate. I want both vertical and horizontal. You better not give me... you better not give me a horizontal protruding screen same as Model 3 interior.
Plus, it'll allow them to save on the effort they have to do with every software update. I mean, of course, they have to support every Model S, even if they switch to a horizontal screen. But eventually,
what about the AC?
What about that?
There's a lot of stuff that the Model 3 has that the Model S and X should have, like the new AC system. That fancy thing. I don't know what they call it.
What fancy thing?
The big hole of AC. the new age AC, Dennis. The vents. The one singular ventless vent.
Oh yeah.
Where you can control the direction with your finger. Coolest feature of the Model 3 and Y. Hands down.
Listen, man. Something got to change. Something. I don't care if it's the exterior. I don't care if it's the interior. Something has to change with this car because it has gotten stale, and not into the detriment of itself, but it's just been almost the same design for 8 years.
What about the X?
It's bound to get stale.
I mean, the X is also paused here. It also has its price increase in Germany. It's also delayed.
I can't imagine they can make a meaningful refresh for 2 different models in 2 months. That's what's really. Also, if it was,
I think
just
if anything,
the S,
it's gonna be interior.
Huh?
I think if anything, it's just gonna be the interior. The
Yeah.
interior is the most dated of the car. It
Hmm.
does need, like you said, a horizontal screen, but it also is missing features like the AC. It doesn't have the internal camera, which is important for robo taxis. There's a few things. There's a few things. I hope they don't get rid of the second screen, the
Yeah.
driver
Yeah.
display.
Yeah. I don't know. Then you have to. I don't know. I'm trying to work all this out from like a coding point of view. Then they have to have a software set for like the regular S, and then a software set for the S with a instrument
Horizontal.
gauge
Hmm.
panel and a horizontal screen, and then they got to have another code for the 3 and the Y. I mean, I don't imagine that that's too big of a headache, but it is something to.
Well, initially they promised 10 years of support on software. I
Mm,
don't know if that disclaimer's still there. I haven't looked into that.
I think it's the first time I heard of that disclaimer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe they got rid of that,
yeah.
and maybe there's no longer any requirement to support.
Because I
Maybe they'll
can't.
just eventually just stop
I,
updating. Like
I,
MCU1 cars just basically get nothing anymore.
yeah, I can't imagine what the current software update is like on a 2012 Model S.
Yeah, it's probably not much. It's probably just minor improvements, no additions.
What are you hoping to see from the hypothetical refresh?
I mean, I'm perfectly fine with the body of the Model S.
Mm-hmm.
I do hope they refresh the interior and not give it a protruding screen. Now we're seeing a lot more electric cars in the luxury class. The
Mm-hmm.
Model S and X both now have actual competition, more competition than the 3 and Y have. Upcoming, at least.
Mm-hmm.
You have Lucid, Rivian. There's probably more.
BMWs, Mercedes, Audis.
Audi e-tron, Jaguar I-Pace. So
Yeah.
I'd like it to. I mean, it's a low production car. It's expensive, and its sales are going down because people are now buying the 3 and Y versus S and X.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like more options. I would like more customization. I'm fine if the price increases. Just make it fit the luxury segment better. Quality a little bit better. There's a lot. There's a lot that can change.
Yeah, but I don't think it could be done in a short notice. Unless they've been working quietly on it for the past like year.
I mean, that Cybertruck came out of nowhere and it looked pretty well done. It would not surprise me if a model refresh comes in the next 2 months.
Well, we'll keep a lookout on that, I guess. And so will
What
all
a,
of
what
you.
a refresh consists of, I don't know.
And you can, if my boy Gio's wrong, you can go on Twitter and laugh at him.
Don't laugh at me. That's mean.